Today I will show you a practically lossless strategy on sound stocks, which we will dissect in great detail. We will touch upon volatility, delve into the options chain, and I will also demonstrate 3D volatility and definitely show how you can profit from practically without losing anything. This is only possible through options, but again, we will come back to this strategy a little later. But first, let's take a look at these stocks. I want to remind you right away that this stock is quite unprofitable. At least for now, it continues to lose money. It recently appeared on the open market. It had its IPO in mid-2022. Again, this stock is related to artificial intelligence, and as we can see, for a long time it was trading around $2. But then there was news that the company NVIDIA invested money in it, and consequently there was a significant increase of almost 500%. But now we are correcting, the stock has fallen by 44%. What's happening here? Let's immediately move on to volatility. What is the options market telling us? Firstly, we have very high volatility around 140%. That's a lot. Based on this data, again, I develop strategies. I build strategies so that they are without losses. With such high volatility, it might be worth considering selling options. But before doing that, let's take a look at the volatility smile. As we can see, the volatility smile is heavily skewed towards the downside, towards the puts. Especially at the $2 and $1 levels, we see an increase in volatility. Yes, towards the call options, volatility is increasing, but not as strongly. This suggests that investors and traders are anticipating the possibility of this stock decreasing. They are buying call options as a hedge for their positions, so they start holding these options. This also needs to be considered when forming a sound strategy. Let's look at the historical and implied volatility to understand what's happening. The white line represents implied volatility, which is the current volatility, while the gray line represents historical volatility. As we can see, historical volatility is currently much higher than implied volatility. This indicates that sooner or later, volatility will return to its historical levels, suggesting that volatility may increase. You might argue that volatility is currently very high, but in reality it's not. The options market indicates that volatility is not high enough. From this, we can infer which options to buy and which to sell. After all, we can play not just on the rise of the stock. Some may analyze and predict whether the stock will go up or down. I will tell you no, volatility will go up. Why will volatility go up? Why such a strategy in options needs to be built to profit from the increase in volatility. You need to consider buying both call and put options. But again, I will explain this a little later. Again, we will profit not from the stock simply moving up or down, but from the increase in volatility. Okay, this is complicated enough. I often talk about this in my previous videos. Be sure to look at the options volume. A very large volume is concentrated at the $10 level. This applies to both call options and put options. From the perspective of call options, we have a very large volume at the $8 and $7 levels as well. From the perspective of put options, it's at $5. It's crucial to be very attentive here. The first options are not only closing this week, they are evenly distributed across all expiration dates. This is very important. Consequently, there won't be sharp jumps or sudden upward movements. In terms of options, the stock is quite stabilized, but let's focus on these huge walls. We see that $10 is an incredible wall, and if you understand options, you would immediately realize that the stock won't just break through $10 on the first attempt due to this enormous volume. As we can see, the impact from $10 was significant. If you're only doing technical analysis, looking at previous charts, that's all well and good. But the question is, how do you determine where to take profits? There are no support levels here, nothing. It's just going up. And I'm telling you that you need to look at the option. If you were looking at the options and these massive walls in call options and put options, you would immediately understand that it's not going above $10 just like that. And that's what happened. The first attempt was unsuccessful. Will there be a second? It's hard to say here, but we'll come back to that a little later. Also, the $5 level is very serious, and again, the stock might drop to $5, but again, it will have to overcome the wall of options. Again, we see that it bounced off the $5 level and started rising to its next price target of $10. Please pay close attention to this. Let's also look at the 3D volatility. Very few people show you this information, but I always try to explain and show in detail what could happen. Let's return to the most interesting part, building a strategy. This is how it looks, but again, under no circumstances should you replicate trades based on mine. If you follow my trades, you will definitely lose money. I guarantee you that. Here, it requires complex and knowledgeable position management. It's not just about opening a strategy and waiting. Here, you need to buy options, sell, hedge, buy underlying asset. Currently, the position looks like this, and as we can see, there's a slight loss, around $80, if the stock drops to $4. But as we see, there is huge potential for growth. So if the stock rises, for example, to $11 or falls to $1, then we could make significant profit. Again, this loss can be hedged by simply selling closer options. But as I mentioned before, this is complex position management. Everything needs to be carefully calculated. Let's get back to the stock. What's happening with it? But again, I've already talked about the two levels, $5 and $10. These are the ones to watch. I'll remind you of my philosophy. I have no idea where this stock is going. I really can't predict price movements at all. The most important idea I always want to convey is smart position management and risk management. The real profit lies in the ratio of risk to reward and everything else. If you learn to manage positions properly, you won't care where it goes. Whether it drops to $1 or rises to $12, look at my strategy. Regardless of where it goes, with smart management, you can even minimize potential losses. Remember this. This is the most crucial thing. Also, I've created a poll on the channel asking where you think the stock will go in the next month. We'll review the results in a month and see who was right. Let's get back to the stock. Again, if you're a long-term investor, it doesn't matter to you whether you buy at $6 or $5 per share if you believe the stock will reach $20 or $30. That's the most important thing. If you believe in the company, if you think the company will grow, then a drop in the stock is a good thing because you can buy it cheaper. If you're day trading, of course, it's a completely different situation. But this gap, this discrepancy that remains, I think sooner or later we will be able to close it, but again, there's no guarantee. We just need to watch. I also want to remind you that I have an idea to create a clean account with $0 and gradually start investing and buying, forming a portfolio. From the very beginning, starting from absolute zero, you will see how portfolios are really formed, which stocks I buy. I will show absolutely everything. And I plan to replenish the account from my YouTube channel. The idea is that after my channel is monetized, all the money I earn will be transferred to the new account, where I will buy stocks. I will also definitely keep a spreadsheet, like I do now with other stocks. Everything will be recorded. How many shares I bought, charts will show how much I outperformed the SP 500. In general, everything will be interesting. Also, don't miss the start of this experiment, so I advise you to subscribe to the channel. Returning to this stock, I already mentioned that there is a possibility of consolidation at this level from $5 to $10. We will continue to observe. I also advise you to watch this video where I also talked about this stock, gave my forecast, built a strategy, built positions. Write in the comments what you think about starting a new experiment.